What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's What's on Kickstarter. Today we're going to be checking out some of the great, good, and not so good decks recently released on the platform, as well as some really fun campaigns that Steve and I are checking out that have nothing to do with playing cards. So make sure to stick around and see what is on deck this week on Kickstarter. Steve, I gotta say, man, there were actually a lot more great decks this week than I was expecting. I'm kind of excited for it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We have a lot of decks this week, and kind of our normal spectrum, which we have on the great side, it kind of flopped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I think it's probably like 48% great, 48% need help, and like 4% good, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So, dude, it's going to be an interesting week for sure. So with that said, man, you ready to check out some great decks this week?
Let's check it out.
All right, first up for this week's first great deck, we have the CHAO Han Purple Edition playing cards, a historical deck by NPC. So obviously being a campaign run by NPC, we know who's printing and fulfilling. It's gonna be done by NPC, so we won't actually see that in the campaign itself. With that in mind, though, this is still a great campaign. NPC does a great job throwing together their campaigns. They do some really amazing artwork, some great renders with it. They actually just wrapped up their transparent deck campaign as well, which I think was another great one.
Yeah, no, they always put together a great campaign, and I love this.
This purple one with this Han Purple on this CHAO deck looks great. Their last yellow one was spectacular as well, so I'm actually always excited to see this series in the works. But taking a look through, we can see a great story talking about the history of the Han Dynasty and where the purple came from, and all of the information around the history of the deck. Makes for a great story. When you have a historically oriented deck, your story is basically written for you. All you got to do is bring it in and make it interesting for people to really get roped in with. We can also see that the story is interdispersed nicely with the images, so it causes little natural breaks throughout.
Look at that little illustration there.
That looks amazing. That's like a sick little animation. It's so clean.
Yeah. I said illustration. Yeah. I meant animation.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant. So it's all good. Dude, we can see some nice imagery of the court cards here as well. And just a really well put together, well thought out campaign. The one thing that usually we can see with some of these bigger companies is over-inclusive campaigns, and I actually think this campaign is the perfect length for a well-known company.
Yeah, I mean, just putting each individual image in here, some, you know, spreading and fanning is really cool. Like these little short movies. Great. And
then we see the option, of course, to get all 5 decks, so always want to include add-ons that are going to entice people to purchase previous stock with it. We have a dope stretch goal of an embossed coin, and then they show kind of the breakdown of the pledges. I personally like when companies do this in a small format. We've seen it where it's been very large in the past. If you can do it in a very small single pane image, I think it works out great. The one thing I would say is for the add-ons, a little bit more visual aspect to it would have been nice. They probably could have consolidated the 5 colors there and said, you know, one CHAO deck color of your choice, and it would have saved a little bit of space on it, but really well put together. The other thing with it too is I think the stretch goals, you know, based on how NPC does with this, they may need more stretch goals on this. You know, I think it never hurts to have a stretch goal or 2. 1 is the bare minimum, obviously, but 3 or 4 when you're doing your own deck never hurts.
Yeah. What's the price for these things?
These are coming in at $18 shipped, man, which for these is a spectacular steal. For anyone who hasn't had a chance to play with the NPC stock, this is a great opportunity for you to pick some up because their new stock, or their newer stock, I should say, really just feels great in hand.
Yeah, they're light linen, light air linen.
Light linen air or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to print 1,000 or more to get it. Yeah. So
unless you own the company that prints them, and then you can print as many as you want. But I think they did a great job with this one. I'm really excited to see it. One of the things that does stand out to me too is being NPC, they still do a reasonable goal for it. Obviously, being the producer, they have a much lower cost basis than someone who is not a printing company. But I'm glad to see they didn't put like a $1,000 goal or a $10 goal. The other thing that stands out to me on this one is you can actually see that their campaign was set for over 30 days. And I will say that a 30-day or less campaign with playing cards is really where you want to stop. Anything beyond 30 days, you're just holding out on getting your money.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest, anything over 21 days kind of useless.
Very well could be. It depends on the season, but I'm a firm believer in anywhere 30 or below. So good luck to NPC on this one. Obviously crushing it, and that purple is fresh.
So beautiful. That tuck box is gorgeous.
And before we jump into this week's good campaign, let's take a quick word from our sponsor.
Let's see just how wild the animal kingdom can get. Follow Curio Playing Cards on Instagram for more details.
And for this week's first good deck, we have the Lucha Warriors Playing Cards Relaunch. So this is actually a really fun relaunch. I remember when this campaign first dropped, Steve and I were like blown away by the fact that this campaign actually included figurines, which I thought was super ambitious. One of the reasons that this campaign falls into good, not great, is they actually acknowledge that they're going to be using a local printer, that they're going to be doing local fulfillment, but I'm a firm believer that actually naming your printer, no matter how small or local, not only benefits the credibility of your campaign, but it also helps promote a small local business, which I think is a great aspect of Kickstarter, getting that visibility worldwide for something that's a small company. Diving into it, we have a fun story here. They kind of go into a little bit of the personal aspect, but really, I think expanding on more so about the information of the luchadors and the background for this deck would be helpful. It probably comes a little bit later on, but if not, that's one thing I would definitely say, build out that story. The deck itself, the images are really fun here. You can see this fun green, kind of almost like lime-ish green color on that yellow backdrop there. I think I might have chosen a little bit of a more contrasting color for the background of the render, but really interesting to see. And then you have this fun like luchador artwork, which I think is really cool.
Definitely cartoony.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, very much a culturally oriented deck, which I think is great. The cool thing about this too is you can see this whole local cutting process that they're using here. I think it's interesting that they're using a local company, they've actually gone above and beyond to show, hey, like the process is legit. We have cards printed, we have the printing figured out. So that's one of the big things, again, credibility and establishing that credibility. But I still think it would have been beneficial to just drop the name of the company, because who knows, you may give them more business in the future.
Yeah.
An interesting gold foil too.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things we see a lot of times with smaller companies where the foil is layered on, but not in a way that usually adheres well to the deck. So this may eventually, you know, chip or flake a little bit in comparison to something like Cardamundi. But the fact that they're looking to kind of expand their offering with a foil deck is really cool.
Yeah.
Got some nice add-ons here, which I love. I love the creativity of of these action figures here. And then
I wonder if it's the creators, if it's like 3 of the friends, or you know what I mean?
And
if it's based off friends.
Out of all of them, if that's the case, like I wouldn't want to be this dude because he looks like he's got like jello arms and all the other dudes look jacked. like that's the one friend they're not that close with.
There's always one in the bunch, man.
I love it though, and I think it's really a fun add-on. I'd be interested to see how well that goes with it. In addition, they have some stretch goals here, which again is that foil deck, and actually a different color foil tuck as well, which I think will really pop nicely. Looks like they're actually going to go with completely separate decks as well, so you're going to have the gold and white back, and then you're going to have a black and white back as well.
A lot of decks.
A lot of decks. You're looking at 4 decks. You're looking at some good add-ons, some merch, which is always an interesting choice. I think this campaign as a relaunch has done a really good job putting things back in order from where they were until now. I do think originally they may have been a need help campaign, so they've bumped it up to a good campaign here. I just still want to see who that printer is going to be. I like the fact that they touched on the self-fulfilling though.
How much is a deck?
We are looking at $13. But it's interestingly enough showing up as free shipping in the US. If that is the case, I think that's awesome. I didn't see anything to indicate that shipping would be charged after. The one thing I will say, and I'll roll up to the fulfillment and shipping section here, they mention shipping will be through MexPost to any part of the world, so feel free to support us without any doubt that your reward will be on your hands on time. The interesting thing about that is if you're going to offer free shipping, make sure to note it. It's a great selling point, and it waylays some of the fear that people may have that shipping is going to be charged after, or that you just may have forgotten to put shipping in. So definitely mention free shipping if that's the route you're going.
Yeah. I mean, $13 shipped from Mexico.
That's a steal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you know what?
Good luck.
We don't know what the print cost is, and I think one of the greatest things we've ever heard in this industry is from Jackson Robinson himself. If you want to get a deck done, you get it done at any, whatever needs to be done to get it printed. And it may just be that they're not looking for a big profit on this one. They may just be looking to print the deck to get their name out there, and if that's the case, $13 ship makes sense.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah, good luck. And for this week's First Needs Help campaign, we have the King Dino cards for memories, both new and ancient. So, interestingly enough, rolling right into this campaign, we can see that they have a pretty solid goal there, $18,000. This is a campaign for 2 decks, but there are some big things that stand out that make this a needs help campaign. I think a lot of the content of the campaign itself, actually, the story which they've built out, really does a great job, but a lot of the campaign feels like they maybe didn't know the audience they were really shooting for. So we have a really artistically styled deck, but also being a very custom deck, I don't imagine a lot of people playing at this at a picnic table. It's really more of an artistic deck. So one of the big things we always try and mention with these campaigns is know your market and gear towards said market. The artwork is beautiful. This is a hands down collector's deck. The likelihood that people are going to play with this deck or do magic with this, is cardistry with it, it's probably relatively slim. So making sure to gear that campaign towards collectors is going to help you get a broader reach and also keep more people's attention while you're running through the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that the pips and indices are pretty standard. So when you do have that fan, you can definitely tell which card is which.
The other thing I'll throw out here too is there's a picture of people playing with the cards again, but they're not the cards in the campaign.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep your branding consistent throughout. Even if you have an image and you just quickly Photoshop your deck back design onto those cards, that's better than showing a different deck, because that can, though unlikely in this situation, that could potentially lead to confusion.
Yeah, because it looks like they're having fun, but they're not using your deck.
Yeah, and that's the confusing part about it. I mean, very interesting looking artwork on this. I mean, honestly, I think the artwork is great. I think there's just so many images too of people playing with the deck, and while I think that's why I said initially I think someone outside of the community probably is creating this, because if you're not familiar with the segments of the community, this could be a playable deck in your mind, but that's not what really is going to drive this campaign, I think.
Yeah. I like how the indices are in all 4 corners as well.
Yeah, interesting too. So again, we see add-ons and stretch goals here. So with the add-ons, you have a poker set. It talks about Texas Hold'em. There's a lot that just, I think, you see as add-ons in a campaign that may not be necessary. I think in this campaign with this deck gearing towards collectors, you want to go with more collector-oriented things. So coins, card guards, custom tucks, add-ons,
box sets.
Scrap the poker stuff. It's added expense. You probably won't sell a ton of it unless this is a campaign specifically geared towards poker-oriented decks. Really make sure that you're keeping your campaign as clean and minimal as possible while maximizing the things that fit with your target market.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it'd be good. It'd be dope to see, because if it's 2 decks, both of them gilded, thrown in a box set, good to go.
What are we looking at here? Price point wise, we're looking at $16 shipped. So the other thing I will say too is $1 shipping is a weird little thing to me on that one. $2 shipping international. You're definitely losing money on shipping at that point. You might as well make it free. Or just go full in and say $5 for shipping. No one's too concerned about a shipping cost on a reasonably priced deck. And at $15 with $6 shipping, this to me is still a reasonably priced deck.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
Good luck.
And let's take another quick word from our sponsor here.
Immerse yourself in a world of fairy tales and legends. The court cards, the back design, and the flipbook animation on the number cards. Everything is designed with a story in mind. The Tales of the Uncursed Kingdom, now live on Kickstarter.
Steve, you ready to see what else we got in store for this week?
Show me.
All right, for another great campaign this week, we have the Tales of the Uncursed Kingdom playing cards relaunch. This deck actually is the sophomore release in the Pixel Kingdom, Plan 52 playing card family. I was shocked at how awesome the Pixel Kingdom playing cards were, got them in hand and absolutely love them. So this to me is a campaign that, just for a really fun out-of-the-box deck, you can see that they have the printer and fulfillment right there, great feature section, awesome story, and a really reasonable price point.
Dude, I love how the font actually is on brand with the deck.
Yes, no, they did a great job with it. Everything about this deck runs with the brand there. So really nicely done. Really excited to see this one fun. So good luck.
Good luck.
And for another great campaign this week, we have the P52 Oddfellows playing cards. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the first Portfolio 52 deck designed by Lorenzo Gacciotti of Stockholm 17, our good friend there. I'm excited for this one, dude. 1,000 people are excited for this one. This is absolutely a great campaign, and no surprise there with a mastermind like Alex Chin from Portfolio 52 and Lorenzo running this thing. It is a great campaign, no question.
Fun stuff.
Dude, beautifully done. Good luck. And for another great campaign this week, we have the Elves deck from Frizz Cards. So this is actually a newcomer, and I have to say, out of the box, a really great campaign. Printed by USPCC, they mentioned their fulfillment, though the big thing for me on this one is the fulfillment is mentioned in the risks. And I will say it's always worthwhile, now that the risks are in a separate tab, to bring that fulfillment information into the main campaign, because you don't always know someone's going to click on your risks. I really also like their use of the images throughout the campaign.
Good luck.
And for another great campaign this week, we have the Aurora playing cards, Northern Lights by Emily Slights 52. This is by no means Emily's first rodeo when it comes to playing cards. This is her 5th created campaign, and she has done a really good job building out her style and her template for these campaigns. So no surprise that it is a great one. Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by Emily, mentioned in the campaign, which again, I always think is a great aspect. If you're gonna self-fulfill, put it in there so people know. Otherwise, people are liable to think that you forgot about shipping. So very nicely done here, Emily. Looking forward to see how well this one does.
Good luck.
Good luck. And for another great campaign this week, we have the Pocket Change playing cards. Another newcomer to the field here, coming out with a great campaign. We can jump right into it and see that they have a lot of the information they're looking for. I wish there was a little bit more of a story spread out throughout the images to break it up a little bit, but really a very artistic, interesting deck of cards for people who have a fascination with change and coins.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, really nicely done. The one thing I will say too, and they use their subsection here really well, but I would love to see that in the campaign itself. Printed by NPCC, fulfilled by Blackstone Cards in the US and Gambler's Warehouse internationally. Make sure to put that in the campaign as well and make it a big focal point, because it never hurts to reiterate that stuff down below just in case people don't see the subtitle, but very nicely done.
Good luck.
Good luck. And for another great campaign this week, we have the Kata's Almanac number 6 Transformation Playing Cards Reproduction from Will Roya. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like we've seen Kata's Almanac 1 through 6 on this thing now, so you know this is going to be a great campaign. This by no means is Will's first campaign either, with 26 created. Will is killing it with custom playing cards. Really nicely put together. I don't know how many are in this series, but I have to say I've become a big fan of transformation decks recently, just because of some of the ones we've seen. Really love the artwork on them. For anyone who likes the idea of, you know, cards that all fit together, those full uncut views, these decks are a great way to really show off the entirety of the artwork through a deck of cards.
Good luck.
And for another great campaign this week, we have the Psychonauts playing cards from Joker and the Thief. Absolutely back in this one. Love Joker and the Thief. This gives me such old school vibes of their Maiden and Dystopia decks. Can't get enough of it. James is an amazing, amazing guy, and one thing that I'm so glad to see on this campaign, even though it is a great one, he managed to fit in a stretch goal, which is pretty much a first for James. He's always been against the stretch goals. He likes to keep his campaigns minimalist, but I'm excited to see it, especially because it's a really dope brick box here.
Yeah, good stuff. Vibrant.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
And for another great campaign this week, we have the Racers deck playing cards from Ivory Graphics. So this is actually Ivory Graphics' first self-printed deck. One of the cool things about this is, again, we know who's printing and fulfilling. They are the printers themselves. They have a really low goal on this one, but again, their cost is probably significantly lower than most people. They can print to order. If they sell 100, they can print 100. If they sell 1,000, they can print 1,000, and that cost and funding will scale for them. So do keep that in mind when you're building out your campaign. Be realistic with your costs, but remember that if you are the printer, your cost will be significantly less. So really excited to see Ivory Graphics getting out there, because they've really been putting a lot of effort into perfecting their stock, and the best way to do that is to print as many decks as possible.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. And for another good campaign this week, we have the Pirates and Royals playing cards from Corey Brown. So this is actually a really good campaign on the cusp of being great, but there's a few things that stand out as definitely needing some work there. First and foremost, they touch on the printer, which is great, but no information about the fulfillment. So definitely mention that in the campaign. People like to know who's shipping. The other thing is there is one tier. That tier is an expensive tier as well. It is $35. What are we looking at? 41 shipped for 2 decks. While that's actually not a bad price for 2 decks with a tin, the thing that stands out to me is you're actually dictating what is available to a person. You're not saying, hey, you want the blue one, get the blue one. Hey, you want the black one, get the black one. You're forcing them to take both. When you're trying to make these things fund on Kickstarter, you want to give people as many options as possible to get 1, 3, 5, 7, 12 decks, whatever configuration they want there. So with that in mind, I would definitely recommend some lower level and higher level tiers as well. Make that tin an add-on if someone wants to get 2, or make a special tier just for a dual deck with a tin. There's so many options to do with this that would really help propel the funding, because this back design has a great look to it. The cards themselves look pretty standard, but have some nice artwork on them. The other thing I would say with this is standard bridge-sized decks. Most people these days are going for a poker-sized deck, so something to keep in mind. You'd probably have better luck with a poker-sized versus a bridge-sized deck.
Good luck.
Good luck. And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Golden Eagle playing cards. A couple things stand out to me on this one. Very little information, no printer fulfillment. This deck actually looks pretty interesting from the few things I can see about it, but there just needs to be a ton more images, a ton more background, tell a story, and really let us know that this is something you want to get done. There's so much missing to this, especially the 11 right there is throwing me off a little bit. So now I'm curious if this is a fully numbered deck. I don't see a court card there, but you got, or is it Roman numerals? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, that could be the case, but I don't know without more images. So good luck.
Good luck.
And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Deck of Modesty playing cards. Again, an unfinished campaign here with a lot of potential. The story's starting to be built out, which is nice, but again, you want to make sure that you have more than one tier, always. The interesting thing about it is you're selling a deck of cards, but the tier itself seems like the deck of cards is an afterthought there, so definitely make sure that you are selling what you're actually trying to sell.
Good luck.
Good luck. And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Quick and Easy Meal cards. These are actually some of my favorite Needs Help campaigns because they go to show that just because you have a ton of information doesn't mean it's a great campaign. You really need to make sure you're including the important information there. First and foremost, this is an informational deck. Having it gilded gold on the side seems a little excessive. Maybe people like it. To me, it seems a little too much. Also, who's going to be printing and who's going to be fulfilling, because I think both of these are really important. I like the fact that being recipe oriented, they realize they need to have multiple versions. But at the end of the day, make sure to have the important information in your deck campaign.
Good luck.
And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Poke Art Operation playing cards. Again, a lot of information here, really good story, but who's going to be printing these things? Who's going to be fulfilling? And really one of the big things that stood out to me on this one, price point. This is a $31 deck. Who's going to be printing at that price point? Why is the shipping looking to be $12 to the US? That might actually not be off too much if you're self-fulfilling, but are you self-fulfilling? Make sure to check out fulfillment options where you're going to have most of your backers. On a lot of these campaigns, 80+% are going to be US backers. So with that in mind, look at a US fulfillment service. Also, definitely try and bring that price point down and mention who the printer is, because that'll go a long way. There's some potential in this deck, but people need that pertinent information.
Good luck.
And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the Liber Lodorum, I'm butchering that and I apologize, special edition playing cards from Ian Cumsty. So I actually love the artwork that Ian does here, but the interesting thing about this campaign is I'm not actually sure what it's for. It sounds like it's for a new tuck wrapping an old and already printed deck, but I can't confirm that, and it mentions that the original version of these cards was printed by Cardamundi. Is that the case with these? Are these just a new tuck for that old deck? Also, one of the things that gets mentioned here is there's actually 2 different colors, but we only see 1 color. I would treat this campaign as if you're selling the deck in its entirety, not just a new tuck on it, because people are going to want to know what the cards are. If they didn't back the cards the first time, how do they know what the artwork looks like? Campaigns need to be very visual, and Ian, you do some amazing work, so I really think you have the potential to put together a visually appealing campaign. Also, make sure that you're as clear as possible as to what the changes and revisions are. If this is V1 with a new tuck, mention that, but then give all the specs for V1. Really nicely put together here. I think there's a lot of potential. The other thing I will say on it too, though, price point's a little bit high on it. $32 for the deck that's already been printed is a pretty significant price point. Not to say you only need to cover the costs of the tuck reprint, but 21 shipped for a relatively standard deck with a relatively standard tuck is probably a sweet spot there. Check out some fulfillment. Definitely get that information in there.
Good luck.
And for another Needs Help campaign this week, we have the all-in-one playing cards. Again, interesting amount of information. Glad to see that they show off all of the cards themselves. This is a multilingual campaign. I'm glad to see that the creator's language is the first language here. English is second, but I'm a firm believer that you should put the campaign in order of 1 full language, a 2nd full language, and mention, English translation below. Makes it a lot more fluid. I'm not reading through this, seeing some things that look English, but then realizing they're not, and then getting to an English section. A lot of it is about flow in the campaign, and when you're using multiple languages, you really want to make sure that that flow is on point, because otherwise it can become confusing.
Yeah, get some images in there and 35,000 for a goal.
Yeah, it's a big goal. Definitely mention how much you're going to be
luck.
printing. Yeah, there's a lot to it there. So good luck, Diego. And for some fun playing card related campaigns this week, we have the Lost in the Shuffle, a feature documentary from John Orney from Animal Mother Films, featuring our favorite Sean Farquhar. This documentary checks out a alternative proposed history to playing cards, which really is an interesting look at it. Definitely recommend checking out this campaign, and check out the live we had with Sean yesterday talking about all of the great aspects of Lost in the Shuffle.
And it comes with a deck of cards.
And it comes with a deck of cards at certain tiers, so definitely check it out. And for another fun campaign related to playing cards this week, we have the Last Game Coin Adventure Edition from Last Game Coin. This is actually a collab from 2 members of the community, Amber Dill and Jason, aka Deck Idea. Absolutely love their first edition of their coin here. Really excited to see the second one. They're actually switching the maker of the coin on this one, so they're featuring actual brass, actual copper, actual nickel, and actual bronze for all of the coins, which very often you're getting either a zinc alloy or a brass that's coated with a coating that makes it look those colors. So these are actually minted from copper, from brass, from bronze, all that fun stuff. Really cool. Great to see people in the community branching out into other aspects of tabletop gaming as well.
Awesome. I love those images too. They really show the detail.
No doubt. They really did a good job putting together this campaign. But again, no surprise there. Jason has a lot of experience putting together some great deck campaigns, and he's bringing that to these coin campaigns as well. So really excited to see that pop off.
Yeah, he's great at renders.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah. Good luck.
So Steve, you know what time it is, man. What are you backing this week?
Time to tell you what I'm backing. I would say Oddfellows, Uncursed Kingdom.
Nice.
CHAO,
Nice.
And Psychonaut.
Nice. Dude, you're dropping a lot of money this week. I feel like you've been holding out for a while here.
Dude, there's a lot of decks this week that were dope.
There really were a lot of them. I gotta say, I'm definitely on board for those 4 as well. I'm trying to think what else I would back too. I mean, I'm definitely gonna be back in the Lost in the Shuffle. I'm definitely back in the last game coin. I think.
Yeah, those 2 as well.
But I gotta say, I think on the coin or on the cards, I think you picked the 4 that I would be going for, man. Psychonauts blew my mind. Love it. Love Joker and the Thief.
Yeah, the colors are really fun.
It's beautiful, and I really, I'm a big Joker and the Thief fan, so I would have been on board with it no matter what the deck was. But I think James went above and beyond with this one. Pablo crushed it with the artwork. It looks great.
Yeah, no, definitely fun seeing a vibrant deck coming out of them.
No doubt about that. And as always, we love to hear what everyone out there watching is backing as well. So make sure to drop a comment down below and let us know what decks caught your eye this week and what you plan on backing. Let's take a quick word from our sponsor here.
Let's see just how wild the animal kingdom can get. Follow Curio Playing Cards on Instagram for more details.
So Steve, I gotta say, man, it is almost that time for fun campaigns. But before we jump into it, everyone out there should make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And hit the bell, please.
Definitely hit that bell. Ready for this, man?
I am.
All right.
Fun pot.
First and foremost, coming up for my first fun campaign this week, we have the Mini Pupper open source Cross Robot Dog Kit. That is a hell.
I love that
dude,
name.
Mini Pupper's
I
great.
sometimes call dogs puppers.
Yeah, I feel like everyone who loves dogs calls them puppers at some point, so 100% on board. That is a clever name that's immediately hooking people into this campaign. I love seeing these campaigns, though, really, because, first off, this reminds me of the, there's a company, I want to say it's called, like, Boston Dynamics or something like that, that builds these robots that look like this, where, like, you can try and kick them over, but they have a gyro something in them, and they don't fall down. If anyone's seen those before, definitely drop a comment drop a comment down below. But I gotta say, man, this thing is so cool. The idea of being able to build and program your own robot, who wouldn't love this?
So cool.
First off, this is a
open source, open AI.
This
cool.
is a great gift for anyone from like 8 to 80. If you're into computers, if you're into technology, this thing is dope.
So cute.
You could be like messing with people with it. I'm sure you could probably add like cool stuff to it. Look at that. You can customize the color of it. Comes with OpenCV AI, which allows you to really program all of this interesting information. Dude, this also is really interesting because this Oak D Light Vision was the campaign from last week.
Oh, that's right.
So they're integrating with another live campaign, which I think is brilliant. This thing is fire. Look at this.
How much does this thing go for, dude?
It's probably a mint. Let's see. Early bird.
Not bad, actually.
All right, Kickstarter research kit, $400.
That's not bad for your old mini robot.
If you get it on the early bird, it's only $304, which still is a pretty solid deal. But dude, yeah, for a mini robot, it's awesome. This is awesome, no question about it. I don't know how much you'd spend for a normal robot. I feel like back in the day when I was growing up, they had that like robot dog that just like flipped and barked at you, and that was $300. So this thing is a lot cooler than that.
Sorry, I never got that because it wasn't cool enough for me.
That was. I mean, if you got it too, you probably would have been like in your 20s. I think I would have been concerned.
Hey, dude, you're never too old to buy toys.
That is true, but like Legos are for adults. I don't know if it's like, neither here nor there. I don't judge on what people want to buy these days. So that being said, this is a dope campaign, really well put together as well. And like I said, it's always interesting to see how much detail and information goes into these non-playing card campaigns. I love the use of timelines. I love the use of pie charts to show where the funding is going. I love the things that they do in these campaigns to really inspire confidence and inspire trust in their backers.
Yeah, I don't know how much people will be on those timelines these days, but it's good to have them up there.
Dude, almost 1,000 backers, $400,000 raised. This thing is dope.
So cool.
Good luck.
Mini Pupper.
Mini Pupper. And for another fun campaign this week, we have the SONOFF NSPanel Smart Scene Wall Switch. I am a huge smart home enthusiast. For anyone who doesn't know, I literally have my entire studio hooked up to a old Amazon Fire where I can just click buttons and it turns everything on and off. I love the idea of smart homes, and so when I saw this thing, I was absolutely jumping in on it. Also, the advertising here, this little image, at first I thought it said AI, and I was like, ooh, it has built-in Adobe Illustrator? And then I was like, that's ridiculous, Tyler. Calm down. You're not going to be editing things on Illustrator in here. But I thought this was really well put together campaign. The item itself is super slick, reminds me almost of like a thermostat. Very clean, blends into the background, but at the same time is super powerful, which I love.
It looks like a garage door opener.
It kind of does look like a garage door opener. Who knows, man? Honestly, you could actually program it probably to be a garage door opener as well, because it's going to integrate with whatever your smart home environment is. And I love these things. I'm always looking for ways to kind of update some of the old school rocker switches or toggle switches that you have in your house, make them look a little more functional, a little more exciting. They really just build out the ability of your home to be more automated, which I love.
Yeah. Cool.
Dude, you're looking at this.
Problem is, it's hopefully everything actually works with
Dude,
it.
and you look at that, $71. And here's the interesting thing about it, and if they play this right, and I'm not seeing it in here yet, but as long as they don't go with proprietary software on this and they use one of the systems that's already out there, like Home Assistant, you could actually have this go on forever because you're using an open source system below it. That to me is really important with these things. So making sure that like you actually have something that's going to last the test of time and doesn't go out of business like Wink did. Wink basically turned into a paid service, thanks Will.i.am, and now it's non-functional as items unless you want to pay $5 a month for something you bought 2 years ago that had no subscription at the time. Don't fall into that.
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, Will, I'm not supporting that. But definitely don't fall into that rabbit hole. You want to make sure that these things are open source, which I absolutely love to see, that this thing really looks to be well thought out and put together in an open source environment. So, nice.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, dude, at $71, that's not too bad. That's actually how much most smart switches cost these days. So,
And it's not a 3D printer, so good job.
it might be 3D printed. I don't know. And
That's a good
for
point.
Steve's first fun campaign this week, we have the Nanobag 5.0 ultra lightweight bags. This,
Look how small
dude,
that bag is, dude.
I saw this and I literally thought to myself, this is a backpack for Barbie. Like, what is this thing? I don't know what we're doing here, but this is intense.
Thank you for thinking I look like Bobby, but I'm more like Ken.
So this is actually really clever because if you go to the grocery store and you want to use your own reusable bags, but you know, you don't know where to shove them, you could buy like 5 of these things, throw them in your glove box, and every time you go to the store, you got bags on hand.
It's super good, dude. The one thing, I mean, we have a bunch of those little, you know, the little bags.
Yeah.
But this thing is like tiny, and it's the same size bag. They have
huge.
5 different sizes. You know, they have the little pack that, I don't know why anybody would wear that, but they have options, and everybody needs options these days, dude. Look at that. That's not the best. It's not the best image to use.
It holds a
but,
lot of weight though, which I think is great.
Yeah, 66 pounds. That's a lot.
That really is a lot. I mean, your groceries are weighing much more than that. You're in trouble. I wouldn't be putting it.
And it fits in the coin pocket. Not that anybody's gonna put it in the coin pocket, but it fits there.
Yeah, that's how it would end up in the wash for sure.
Yeah, but hey, it's you know, it's great product. So price isn't bad.
All right, so what are we looking at here? Super early birds. They only have super early birds right now. So a super early bird on this thing is $14 shipped. Yeah, I mean, for something that's a reusable tote, that's not too bad, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, what do they normally go for? $10?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Sometimes you can get them at the grocery store for like $4, but like they're usually a little bit.
That's a grocery store.
Yeah,
one.
and they're a little bit cheaper. They're not always going to last as long. They're not as stylish. So, you know, you factor in there, $14 isn't too bad. And it looks like the more you buy, the better pricing you get. So you can buy 3 for $31. Dude, I saw a tier for, I mean, look at this, 20, 50, 100. Okay, I'm guessing we're getting to the wholesaler. Yeah, I'm guessing we're getting to the wholesaler level here. But if you really want to spend $1,169 to get 200 of these things, you got your Christmas shopping done for the next 5 years. Your family might hate you at the end of it, but you got your Christmas shopping done for the next 5 years.
Didn't I get this one last year?
You're like, no, that was the one with the cat eyes on it.
Yeah, right. They're cool. I mean, I just love small things. It's really cool.
Dude, this is really dope. We got a couple people who are into miniatures that we know. We may have to send them this. The whole concept of small to large be really exciting for them.
We'll have to have Cat design a smaller one, like an actual mini version of the Nanobag.
Dude, that would be. You need tweezers to pack it up. I'll leave that to you on that one. So good luck to Tip Top Things Ltd. There, very nicely done. And for another fun campaign this week, we have the Sailor's Compass by Oceanus Brass. This was actually one of them that I think Mepper said last week that he was hoping to back, and I asked him if he was into like sailing. He's like, a little bit, but I just like it. It looks cool. And I'm like, all right, so I brought it up to Steve, and Steve's like, yeah, it looks cool. And it does, man. This thing is awesome.
It is. It's really, I'm not, you know what? I'm not, again, you know me. I use my phone for everything. If I want to bust out a compass, I'm going to bust out my phone.
Yeah.
You know, but for those people that like sleek, you know, whether it's a watch or a, you know, a pocket watch or a compass, or, you know, I think people who do a lot of hiking, different things like that, I think it's dope. And dude, Boston. That's where it was founded, Boston.
Of course.
So it's got to be cool.
Of course. Steve would buy a lobster roll from a Boston McDonald's if he had to.
No, I wouldn't. That's one thing I would not buy from McDonald's. I mean, from Boston.
And all things considered,
but it's only like 35 bucks.
40 bucks ship. That's really not too bad for something that, all things considered, if you're not a sailor, makes a dope conversation piece on your desk. And at the end of the day, like, you're probably spending that same 40 bucks if you went to Crate and Barrel and bought the generic one.
Yeah, no, this one's really slick. It kind of looks like a grinder
And
when it's closed.
It does kind of look a little bit like a grinder, but it's not deep enough to be a grinder.
That's a little more information than I know, but you know.
Dude, this is very cool looking, though. I'm definitely impressed with this. And honestly, single-piece machined brass. You can't go wrong there. This is a solid compass that, hey, if you plan on having kids in the future who are going to be into camping and stuff, you could teach them how to use a compass with this thing in 40 years, and all it's going to do is get a dope patina on it. So, very cool.
And it lights up.
Yeah.
It lights up, dude.
The only downside to that, because it's probably like a tritium or something like that, is eventually it'll wear out. But they actually, I don't even know if they mention it.
They don't even show it actually in the campaign.
Yeah.
Other than in the video.
Which is interesting. I wonder if it's it is a stretch goal.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Very interesting. So yeah, I wonder what the what is actually going to create.
What's that? There was an unlock thing right down at the bottom.
Let's see here.
Go right, up. Right about there.
30K.
30K.
Oh, we'll start manufacturing before the campaign ends. So, yeah, I'm curious about the glow, because that glow is dope. That's what catches my eye. They know how to market it right there.
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%. That's what caught my eye. I was like, whoa, that's cool.
I gotta say, man, there were some sick campaigns this week, not only on the deck side of things, but on the fun campaigns as well. Really excited to see some playing card related campaigns coming to the forefront. Really excited to see some of these great campaigns out there. Before we jump off tonight, let's take another quick word from our sponsor here.
Immerse yourself in a world of fairy tales and legends. The court cards, the back design, and the flipbook animation on the number cards. Everything is designed with a story in mind. The Tales of the Uncursed Kingdom, now live on Kickstarter.
So Steve, I gotta say, man, there's going to be some big money spent this week on Kickstarter, no doubt about that. As always, we love to hear what everyone's backing, so make sure to drop a comment down below. Let us know what playing cards you're backing, what fun stuff you're backing outside of the playing card world. Are you down with that Sailor's Compass from Oceanus Brass? Are you looking more at the mini Pupper? We're always excited to hear what really caught your eye. But while you're at it, make sure to like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.